Hello, Alicia of Kaloa here with Nerd Girl Productions. So for this video, we're going to cover how to make your tabards and obi. The obi is what is the fabric belt thing that goes around your waist, and the tabards are the pieces of wide fabric that go in the front and back. And for the Sith, I'm going to make those out of bright red. Yes, and the obi, which was a piece of leftover leather-looking fabric that I had from a previous cosplay. That's what I'm going to make my obi out of, because I thought a splash of leather would look pretty cool for Sith. So let's get started. So you're going to want to get your fabric and lay it out. And lay it out nice and flat, get the air bubbles and wrinkles out. So for your tabards, you're going to want a piece of fabric that is about the width of your shoulder across, so you're going to want it to come out a little farther than your shoulder, so that way it gives you a really squared shoulder wide look. You really want to go for wide and tall and strong with a Jedi or a Sith or any costume like that. It adds a little aura about them. And so just kind of measure out your shoulder and maybe like a span width from your neck out. So my span is how wide I want to do, so I'm going to mark that on my fabric. And I'm going to double it because for this I'm actually going to line them. So then you're going to take your span width or however long you want, and you're going to mark it out on your fabric, and then you're going to fold it over on that side so that way you get a nice width in there, and then you're going to want to smooth it out. So for this I'm going to show you the proper way how to make tabards. Unlike I did in my previous cosplays where I made them incorrectly, I'm going to show you how to do them correctly this time. So once you have the general size that you're looking for that fits the width of your shoulders, fold the fabric over. If you look in the movies, the tabards go about an inch longer than your tunic. This is really a personal choice for you. You can make them as long or as short as you like. Personally, I wanted a longer tunic with shorter tabards. And now we cut your pieces out along the folded line. And here you go, your tabards. I went the length of the fabric, so your tabards should come out a little bit farther from you. And this is what they should look like, and you'll have another one on the other side. Now, the reason why I had you fold them over is so that way they'll have a cleaner look, and then you're just going to sew along all the raw edges. I'll show you how to do that in a bit. Now we make the second one. So this time you're going to want to use your first tabard as a template, so that way you get the exact same size, so you don't have one that's wider than your other tabard, because believe me, it looks really weird. So take your first tabard, which is this one right here, and lay it on the fabric, and you get a general size here. Keep your finger at where this one comes out at, away, and fold. Then take your other tabard again and make sure it's doing all the things it's supposed to be doing. And place it over to make sure that all the lines match up, which they do. And set that one off to the side, and then you're going to want to cut this one out. So your tabard should look something like this. And you're going to want to make sure that it's all long enough. Yep. So, see. That's what your tabard should look like. And then your belts, of course, would go over top. And you'd have something like this. And that's how you make a set of tabards. So what you're going to want to do to finish your tabards is you're going to want to sew along all of the raw edges. Don't worry about this side because it's already closed. So you're just going to want to sew it. And then on one side, preferably the top side, you're going to want to reach in and pull the fabric through, so that way the seam is closed on all sides except for this top side. And then if you cut the fabric along the edge of the fabric, so this side here is where this is the sides of the fabric. I'm not sure what that word is called. I'll probably get somebody yelling at me in the comments saying it's this. I'm like, okay, but you can use the bottoms of the fabric that doesn't fray. And you can either leave it open and have it in the back, or you can turn it inside out like this, so that way none of the raw edges are showing, and you can sew it along that side. Now for constructing an obi, which I will be mostly explaining how to do it and not actually physically showing, because I will be using for the Sith this leather piece. It's actually a vinyl, a stretch vinyl, but it looks like leather and it's really cool. So I'm basically just going to explain how to make your obi. You're going to want to have it to where it goes from about the base of your rib cage, which is about here on most people, and then so you're going to want to have it about middle of your rib cage to about the top of your hip bone. So that way it's about this wide, and it's a band of fabric that goes all the way around your body. And to construct it, you can use the same method as you did for your obi, but just make it to where it can clasp in the back. You can use many different styles of closures. Usually I use Velcro. It's the easiest to work with, and you literally just have to sew it on. Or if you're really lazy, you can glue it on. It's beautiful. But you can use the exact same method as you did for your tabards to make your obi. You can just take the fabric at a right angle. This tabard is actually the right side. You're going to not want something so big, probably, for me, at any rate, I'd want something about this wide. And then you'd want it to go around like this. And then your belt, whatever belt you use, would go over it like this, and then that's what it would look like. And then you'd have everything else tucked inside of it, and it's just basically the finishing touch on your costume. If you don't want to, you don't have to use anything to close it. The belt will hold it together, and you'll just have to have a friend that'll come up every once in a while and be like, hey, you're kind of unraveling, pull yourself together. It's about all you need. And so yeah, I think that's about it for tabards and the obi. For the finishing thing over your obi, you're going to need a belt. For me, I just used a regular belt and put the buckle on the back side, so that way you don't see it in the front, because it looks tacky that way. Or you can buy an actual Obi-Wan Kenobi belt, which is basically a generic every Jedi belt, on like Amazon and eBay and places such as those. But I'm lazy, so a belt is going to be just what I use. It'll just be any kind of belt. If you're going to go with a Sith, use black. If you're going to go with a Jedi, use brown. That's about the only rule in belts. You want one that's plain, is more plain, and probably has a leather look to it. This one, in fact, has a cloth look to it, but if you turn it around, it has a shiny, leathery look. I wanted to go with cloth This belt here has a cloth finish. You can go on with one with a leather look. It is, again, entirely up to you how you, in the end, construct your costume. So I think I've covered about all that there is in making your tabards and obi and the finishing off of the belt. So for my next and final video, I'll be showing you how to make your cloak, which is really and truly my favorite part.